Hello, magic makers, and welcome back to the Metaphysical Apothecary. We are your hosts, Shannon and Megan,
Hi, everyone.
also known as the Scorpio Sisters, here to explore the mysterious, the magical, and the arcane.
Yes, of course, the often forgotten females of the Christmas season. And just to talk about one of them this time around, the one who interests me the most is Frau Perchta, or the goddess Perchta, the goddess of winter and forest.
She is also from the Teutonic and Alpine region, and she actually protects both women and children.
Yes. As well as animals and the forest in general. She's a very interesting figure because, again, she's most definitely obviously connected to the pre-Christian goddess of the area, who more or less did the same exact thing that she would do when she was demonized. So if you were good and well-behaved, and this was not just children, this was everyone, if you're good and well-behaved, you were being hospitable and leaving the offerings out, being pious towards her, she would bless your family and your home and your village for the next coming year. Perchta traveled with, especially around this time period, a horde of Christmas cryptid monsters from the Alpines called the Strageli. I love them.
Sounds like a kind of pasta, but it's so menacing.
Yes, it is so menacing. The Strageli, if anyone knows of the old movie that they sometimes run on Thanksgiving Day called The March of the Wooden Soldiers, these boogeyman characters start coming out of a cave-like dwelling that everyone in Toyland was afraid of and refused to go into. And they start coming in, invading the town of Toyland. They look like classical boogeymen. They look like the Strageli. They are humanoid in shape, furry, disheveled. They look dirty, and they have horns and fangs and claws and everything that makes you go, "Oh, boogeyman."
So the Strageli were the original creatures that go bump in the night that you don't want to run into ever.
No, and Perchta was taking care of them so that they wouldn't run into human beings in the thick of night, in the thick of the wood. So the food and offerings you left out, she would give to them.
So she's actually caring for them. She's not keeping them trapped anywhere. She's caring for them. So this could be even another misunderstood grouping of cryptids.
They were creatures. They were animals, and she cares for animals. It doesn't matter if you are animals that are monstrous or you're a bunny.
She might allow the Strageli to eat the bunny, but she's also going to care for the bunny while it's alive.
Yes, exactly. She's not going to stop an animal from taking care of itself. She's not going to stop a human from taking care of itself, as long as they're doing it respectfully and they're taking only what they need.
If you misbehaved, she would come into your home in the middle of the night, slice open your torso, remove your organs, and replace them with stones and straw and stitch you back together.
Or she would not bless you, so the Strageli would get you and rob you of your children and tear them apart, eating them as they left your village.
She had very extreme sides to her personality. Either she appeared to you as this beautiful, golden-haired, almost angelic, I would say, figure with piercing eyes and blessed your home with abundance and protected you from these aggressive, vicious creatures, or she appeared to you as the stereotypical hag of the forest with straggling hair and a very frightening visage and just allowed nature to take its course.
Yes. She's a very interesting character because of how her nature is and then how she was demonized after Christianity came in.
I feel like her harsh side was emphasized more heavily after Christianity sort of made its way through. Because if you look at the original Frau Perchta, she's really just the two sides of being prepared versus being unprepared. So you could say that, if you have worked very, very diligently, and again, this is like the theme of this particular episode, if you've worked very, very diligently throughout the warmer months and made sure that you've had a prosperous year, it'll absolutely appear as though Perchta has blessed you. But if you do something ridiculous, like go out in the middle of the night or get caught in the forest, the alpine woods in the middle of the night, you're very likely going to get eaten by a bear or some other vicious creature.
And the Strigeli are representative of that. They represent all the things that go bump in the night, in the forest.
Yes.
Especially during winter.
And the things in the forest during the winter are very, very hungry.
If you're running into a bear in winter,
no, because the bear is not
sign.
Supposed to be awake, and it's very hungry.
Yeah, and that's the only reason why I woke up. It did not find enough food during its preparation for hibernation, and now you're dealing with winter bear.
If you want to work with some winter alpine energy, Frau Perchta might be the way to go if you really want to get into the dichotomy of light versus dark.
Prepared versus not prepared.
And
some of the things you can leave out for her for offerings, some of the usual stuff, bowls of milk, honey, she likes holly, mayflower, and pieces of goose because she's also conflated with Mother Goose, which we are not going to talk about right now. But she also really enjoys hearty meals. So if you're going to sit down during the Yule season, having a hearty meal and leaving some out for her and Strigeli is not a bad way of offering her a place at your magical
altar. Right, you can even make her a plate and dedicate a space to her at your table. And that sort of goes for any of the figures that we're talking about. If you're looking for some extra abundance this winter, if you're looking for some guidance through the darkness of the nights, if you're looking to even do shadow work, any of these figures could be a very helpful guide through those things.
Yes. Sometimes the things that go bump in the night are some of the most revealing teachers.
Well, they live in the darkness, so they're not afraid of it, and they know how to traverse it. So if you petition them properly, then they would make an excellent guide. Even the Strigeli could make an excellent guide through the darkness if you're exploring that. Contrary to the Santas and the anti-Santas, essentially, of the winter months, we have what Shannon and I like to call the bringers of chaos.
Yes,
some ghosts exactly just want to see the world burn.
And laugh while it burns. Yes.
They're representative of the chaotic viciousness of winter that we've talked about a lot, the chance that you might not survive, unexpected events, weather disasters. They have a horrific appearance, and they're pretty much the embodiment of fear, especially the fears that our ancestors held near and dear to their homes and hearths.
One of the, which is where we've already mentioned, one of the bringers of chaos is the wild hunt. The wild hunt is often led by Odin, Perchta, Hearn, Theranos, Hulda, or Mother Holly. A number of other beings have been associated with leading the host, but they're normally associated with figures that have two sides to them, the dark and the light side. The side that's going to bless you or the side that's going to punish you.
Their wild hunt is depicted across a lot of ancient cultures, so that tells you a little bit about how prevalent the fear was that you were going to get snapped up in the middle of the night, or they were often also associated with picking up wayward souls.
If you're being haunted by a creepy ghost that just won't take the hint, setting out offerings or inviting the wild hunt into your home might not be a bad thing, because they will take that wayward spirit and continue on their way as long as you are not doing anything that guarantees your lack
Which
of
in
survival.
these modern times, not surviving in winter for most of us, for many of us, is not something that we have to be concerned about.
No, I would just leave out mead for them, or ale or beer as an offering, and be like, I know I'm going to survive the winter, but I still would like to pay you something, some kind of offering and respect.
They really like
beer.
alcohol. They're representative of that Viking or Celtic post-battle celebration group where they're coming down from the adrenaline of being on the battlefield or being in the hunt, and they're imbibing and sharing tales of things that they did while they were in action. So alcohol is very popular.
Mm-hmm. And the beer will also be a way to hydrate themselves as they continue to the next place to gather a wayward soul or a monster that came into civilized areas that
they were kind of the anti-heroes of the ancient world in a way.
Yes. You had every right to be scared of them because you might not survive encountering them, but they made sure that your village and your civilization or settlement didn't get overrun with ghosts and
they
monsters.
Collected those things. They collected wayward souls that refused to cross over. But if you were out by yourself in the wilderness, there was nothing to prevent them from snapping you up prematurely as well.
Because if you were out in the wilderness by yourself, your survival skills
are
questionable. I'm really excited to talk about this one because it's just this particular bringer of chaos is just so odd, and I have not seen it replicated anywhere else in the world as far as I know.
She seems to be unique to Welsh culture, right?
Yes. There's some hooding that happens in Kent, England, where a similar costume is done, but I think it's originating from Wales, and it's just spreading out now. I could be wrong. If someone from Kent, England wants to tell me the truth about that particular hooding, I am all down for it, but it looks like it
originated. If we have any listeners from Wales, please reach out, let us know, comment about this. The next bringer of chaos that we're excited to talk about her name is Mari Lwyd.
And she is a zombie horse.
She is a zombie horse. And she wants to get into your house. That is her goal. She wants in your house.
I just love this character. I would love to be in Wales during one of these celebrations with Mary, traversing the village. I would love it.
I would too, because this is still a tradition that's carried out today in modern times.
Yeah. At one point in time, it was going to disappear from Wales, but it's actually caught fire again, and it's spreading. So Mary, her name means gray mare, Mari Lwyd, and I am not saying that correctly because I am not Welsh.
A Welsh tongue to be able to pronounce these correctly.
Yes, which is why I'm just going to call her Mari. As we said, she looks like a zombie horse. And she's attended to by zombie attendants who have recently passed themselves. And she wants to get into your house. And in order to do that, she challenges you to a rap battle.
She trades riddles with you. And if you lose, she comes into your house. And we emphasize this because we don't know. There are no legends that say what she's going to do when she gets into your house. I'm just pretty sure that the ancient Welsh definitely didn't want a zombie horse in their house.
I would agree with that. Not only do you have a horse-like fae that would love to feast on the flesh of the living, but zombie horses that kind of resemble the fae would probably like to feast on your flesh.
So it's very possible she was going to come into your home and feast on your flesh.
Who knows? Maybe she just wanted to sit down and have a cup of tea with you.
So you would engage in a battle of wits to get her to go away. And hopefully you won and she would go away. But her appearance in Welsh legends is very indicative of the ancient people's fear of people and creatures rising from the dead and coming back as something that is different than what they were before.
Yes. And it's a valid fear because we do know that people were
Yes, that's where the term wake comes from, where you would place the person in their casket in a room of the home for a certain amount of time to make sure that they're not going to wake up.
And sometimes that didn't even work. Sometimes they still woke up, ended up going back home after they were able to dig themselves out of their own grave and scare the living bejesuses out of anyone who was in the house, ending up potentially killing them from a heart attack.
Exactly, because I think even today I would be extremely frightened if someone I thought had passed on were to come visit me at my house. Imagine.
Yeah, and we have medical ways of determining whether or not you're alive or you're dead now.
Still something called Lazarus syndrome, where you can be dead for a very extended amount of time, and if the conditions are just right, your body will start working again. Mari Lwyd was definitely a representation of this fear that ancient peoples have and that we still have today. That's why vampires are so popular and zombies. She may have also originally been a symbol for one of the aspects of Rhiannon, who is a goddess popular in the area who escorts the dead to the underworld. And there was also a yearly sacrifice of a mare. There was also an annual sacrifice that the ancient Welsh may have performed, possibly to ensure that the tribal peoples would have an abundant winter.
Maybe even to ensure that whoever died during the year to come or the year that had passed had a spirit to guide them through, since horses are associated with being psychopomps or guides to underworld, to the spirit world.
That's actually a precursor to the church grim, where they would take a dog and bury it in a new cemetery because the legend went that the first deceased soul to be buried in a cemetery would be obligated to guide and protect the other souls in the cemetery before they passed on, and therefore that soul wouldn't be able to pass on. So instead of cursing a person with this, they would bury a dog that had died near the gate, and that's where the church grim comes from.
It's a precursor. It may not have had anything to do with actual boundaries like the church grim does, where it's inside the cemetery, inside that graveyard. It might have just been, well, this mare is being sacrificed because she will guide everyone who has passed or will pass to the new world.
They need a new guide. We need to make sure that anyone who does pass on, and especially during the time of year where people took ill often, they succumbed to the cold, they succumbed to starvation. Fear of winter was a very real terror that people had and still have in certain parts of the world.
Yeah.
Again, the energy that you could work with in terms of Mari Lwyd is a guide through the darkness. You just have to match her in a battle of wits and try to keep her out of your home, because what she does when she gets in there is a total mystery.
That's all we have on our topic for today. Thank you so much for listening in, and we hope you'll join us again soon. In the meantime, you can follow us on Instagram, Facebook, and Pinterest for more witchy wisdom, both here and on our blog. And you can also check out our original art on Society 6 for sacred decor and more. Thanks again for joining us. Go make some magic and live your best life.
Bye.